Hi, Dan Royer. How you doing? What you going through?
Wow. I'm going through the family court system right now. It's been pretty challenging. Um,
How challenging? Tell me a little bit. Start at the beginning.
wow. In the beginning, um, me and my significant other didn't see eye to eye for quite a few years. But we have two lovely young men, Marcus and Nicholas. You've talked with them.
Great kids.
They are great kids, and they're just kind of wedged in a bad spot. And I've tried to express this to the court system that I love my boys. I love my boys dearly, and
Let's take it back a little bit though.
Okay.
The spot that they're wedged in. When did that happen?
okay. Well, I filed for divorce in January 2017. And even on the day that she was served with papers, I told her, I said, we haven't seen eye to eye about things for a long time. And so I said, for the kids' sake, I'm hoping that we could still be friends and stuff like that. And she was upset. Fat chance that's going to happen. And so I understood, she's upset, she's mad, but rejected in a sense. And I thought, oh, okay, well, we'll get through it, and we'll try to get through it. Shortly after that, she filed a restraining order against me. Now, dig this. She stated that the house, she falsified the document stating that she was the sole property owner of our community property. And then she stated that there was a camera that's been there forever in the front living room, not in the bathroom or the bedroom or any kind of weird, pointed at the TV, because she threatened so many times that she was going to bust me in a brand new TV. And so I had it pointed right to it. And she went to court, and I had this guy helping me that was a paralegal, and he said, oh yeah, we can get a lawyer, we can do this, but don't worry. Well, before you know it, I got in front of a judge, and they went forward, and I got a restraining order against me because I was stalking in my own house. She made claims that I moved out into the trailer, and that wasn't the case. And so before you know it, I all of a sudden, they're like having fun with me, saying, okay, well, you have any firearms, you have this, you have that, you got to do this, do that.
Start taking all your rights.
Taking everything away, and the main thing is
Based on a camera looking at your TV in your house.
yeah. But here's
Nothing
the
more,
thing.
nothing less.
Because you have a domestic violence restraining order, even when there was no domestic violence, they said stalking, but it's still, they said, oh yeah, we're going to just label you with this. Well, the first thing that they also do is they take your rights as a father away, or mother, depending on the person. And all of a sudden, okay, so here you fork out a whole bunch of money because you have this family attorney says, you know what, we'll get you back, don't worry about it, yeah, this injustice, we'll take care of that. And the same lawyer that's supposed to be defending you takes you to the cleaners. And then you get in front of the judge and stuff, it's costing up $6,000 and not just the retainer, but it just wipes on it out. Okay, we got all this paperwork, we filed this. And then you go in front of the judge, and the judge says, well, the paperwork that you have here is actually the wrong one, and you need to file this, and in all honesty, I'm not going to listen to it. So I spent all this money trying to be able to clear this on up, but this guy, well, that judge sure didn't like you. And I'm like, that judge was talking to you, not me, you. And you didn't do this right and do that right. He said, well, as long as you put some more money back into that account and stuff. So it's just like a bleeding vein that they just flowing the money out of you. And all I'm worried about
Exploiting you for money.
exploiting me for money. And to some degree, you get this in a feeling like they're going into the back room and they're just having the conversation and stuff, and say, hey, we'll give them this much, and we'll do this, and we'll just like a
It's a
fishing
kangaroo
game.
court.
Well, bzz it on out there and reel it on in, and then let them take it out. We're going to tire him out. We're going to see how much play we could play with him. And before you know it, we're talking, the full almost 3 years. These people are saying, oh, well, we'll take care of this. Well, you get another attorney. Oh, that's an injustice thing. And then they first go gung-ho and, oh, we're going to take care of this and we're going to do that. And then all of a sudden, history repeats itself. And bottom line, it comes down to, well, she took the enough house. Okay? Oh, that's the other thing, too. I'm sitting there trying to get some sort of visitation with my kids. But yet, she doesn't care, and oh, well, I'm going to keep you at bay, so I can't contact her, I can't do any of that stuff, okay, not that I really wanted to, but I wanted to be able to speak to my kids, so we only use Our Family Wizard, which, in case people out there don't realize, it's Our Family Wizard is a court-appointed email system. And it keeps a log of everything and stuff, and how if you logged in and stuff. There's certain settings in there if you opt out for it on tone. If your tone is too aggressive, when you type this stuff, it won't let you send the end of email. So when we first got into it, there was a tone issue, and I do realize that Mrs. Royer had difficulty responding back to me because the tone was not good, so it took her a long time to recall. But I noticed later on, because they're the ones that basically stated it and made me the bad guy, the tone thing was turned off, so she could say whatever she wanted to me. And I thought, wow, this doesn't serve a purpose. And so it was just a control thing. For her, she could end up sit there and use Our Family Wizard to, well, I get a notification that you emailed me, but I'm not going to answer that. I'm not going to read that. I'm not going to take care of that stuff. So I'm going to keep you at bay. So in all honesty, it was a game, and the bad thing is the kids, I'm sitting there fighting, trying to end up, after 2.5 years of this torment, I finally found an attorney for a brief moment that came on in and said that we're going to end up have a minors council, speak with the boys, and have the boys have a voice finally. And the other side was scared. And so what had occurred is the lawyer that I had made this deal like he was really fighting her lawyer, all right? And then here's the funny thing, okay, advocate, that when that occurred, okay, I brought in this other lawyer, and I'd already swapped him on out. I already did a substitution of attorney, and I came in there, and they actually wanted to go in the back room and talk to the judge, but they didn't want to tell me what. But they wanted me to agree to it, and I go, I can't do that. Tell me the plan. What do you have? They have an offer, and so they were playing with me, and I said, well, bring your client on in here and her attorney, and we can all sit down together. Oh no, can't do that. And then her lawyer comes walking on by. I'm not talking to your client. So it's this attorney that I had
Immoral.
This attorney that I ended up said, life is but a stage. And what you're seeing there is a performance. This whole family court system,
It's all acting.
it's just an act. They're playing this in a game. And then they go out and they work the deal behind the scenes and stuff. So whenever they come up in front, all of a sudden it's just in a performance. And I was literally amazed by this. But when this other attorney actually shared this with me and actually gave me some insight of what's in it going on, then I realized, okay, I'm not going to get upset. I'm not going to get like this. It's just they're doing their thing and they're trying to irritate me.
Trying to break you.
Trying to break me. So when we went in there, July 12th, 2019, I know it well, okay? I got 50-50. They gave me 50-50 because they did not want to hear from the kids. They did not want to talk to the kids.
So that's the only reason you got it.
Also, I also ended up presented it to her that I know you have hidden money. I know that you end up have. But later on or whatever, it was like, you've got money here, you've got that and stuff. You're not being totally honest.
Oh, she's been lying to the judge about money?
Oh, she's been lying from the very get-go. The house, okay, she had it devalued. There's like in 2018, it was finally, it was 2018 at the beginning of it and stuff. In January, there was the decision of statement or something when it comes to the community property. And the house, they brought in people to lie about the house. They brought in contractor, this one guy that, and he said, it's the roof is falling down and this and that and stuff like that. They devalued the house down to $180,000. They finally ended up used the witness that she ended up had, a Whittle and Whittle. Whittle, he came on out and stuff, and he's a broker, not a person that does house estimating. Okay, my estimator came in, said it was about 252. Okay, hers came in and said it was 254 with I dig this, 238,000 cure to fix, which means it only was worth 18,000. So you have on the spectrum of 18,000 all the way up to 252,000 roughly, all right? And it was like, this is ridiculous. Now here's the thing. So they took this in a broker and his experience and said, oh wow, he's bought and sold so many different ones and stuff. So he says, something in this poor of a condition and stuff, I could, we could probably, it would be a cash sale of about 180,000. So the judge basically said, all right, it's worth 180,000. So here, that was in January when I had the statement and stuff, and then I got threatened because I actually put a les pendens on the property. Now, a les pendens is Latin for case pending. And when you put when I filed for divorce, at the same time I filed a les pendens, which basically blocks anybody from doing anything to the property. Okay, because I knew she would either falsify stuff or everything else. So I locked it on in. Well, we generally don't do that and stuff. Well, you generally don't know my ex, So what I did is I did the les pendens and stuff. So by April or May, they were saying, well, you need to remove that les pendens, okay, or we're going to go after you for multiple things, and if by 5 o'clock if you don't do this and stuff, we're going to be violent.
The judge threatened?
No, the other side, the other attorney.
Oh, the other party.
And my attorney, I don't even know what happened to him. He pretty much basically, he was cowering. He said, well, you got to do this. You got to do that.
Working for the other side?
He was working for the other side. And there were several times he just basically, he got a lump sum of money, okay?
What are the names of these lawyers?
Jonathan Bistendat, okay, was the attorney that I ended up had the second time. The first one, it was a guy out of Sacramento, and that was only, I think I went through about $8,000 with him and stuff, and it was quite apparent that he had his paralegal doing all of the work, and then when he came in like a rock star to do in front of the judge, then the paperwork wasn't right, it wasn't this, it wasn't that. So, but then her attorney was Sarah Org, all right, very, I would have liked to have somebody like that on my side, but unfortunately and stuff, she was just pretty ruthless and lying and making these claims and stuff that way. She's just, a very, very difficult person.
Cutthroat.
Yeah, cutthroat. She she actually sat in that day of January 12th, 2019, when we were negotiating. She goes, first thing she says, I don't trust you. I think you're scum of the earth. I think you're a piece of crap. And I go,
and the lawyer told you that?
My lawyer my lawyer's sitting off to one side thinking, handle it, Dan.
Wow.
So I'm sitting there across away from her, and she's calling me all kinds of names in the book.
Harassing you?
Yeah, and I look at her and I go, I'll bet you do. I know your client. I'll bet you do think that. All right? And she says, well, you think this is funny? Life is but a stage. Yeah, I understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to end up push my buttons. And in all honesty, I don't care. The only thing I care about is those boys. And I want to be in those boys' life. And we need to get this taken care of. She says, well, what we're going to do is we'll go ahead and offer you 50-50. Okay, that's what you want, right? Okay. Okay. I said, what I need to also do is parenting classes also too, because we need to know how to communicate. Jill was adamant. Oh no, I'm not going to do parenting classes with you, blah, 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 blah. I am not going to do that. And I said, look, we need to be able to talk. We haven't been able to talk, and this is why this battle has gone on for years. You know, at that time it was about 2.5 years. You know, the kids have gone through enough. We can't continue this.
Well, how long has the battle been now?
Well, think about this. I filed for a divorce January 26, 2017. Okay?
5 years?
So when we got to the end of the restraining order that I shouldn't have gotten in the first place, all right? That was February of 2020, okay? Now, COVID happened at the same time. So basically, they kept on putting it off. My attorney, he got sick, not because of COVID, but his own just medical reasons, and so we delayed the process. It took 8 months to get it back into court. And when we came back into court, I made an arrangement with Jill. I said, look, I was on assistance. I got on assistance, and what they did was they went after her. County of Yolo went after Jill Royer. And so she goes into court. She files this income and expense report, all right, on February 2020. And in that one, she realizes I know about her money, okay? And so she writes down in Section 8 of any additional money that in May of 2019, she received a one-time deal of money to get a manufactured home, okay? But if you notice in that income and expense report, there was no amount. Nobody said how much she received it. And so if you go back to July 2019, when we had an income and expense report, oh wait, May actually comes before July. Wouldn't it have been on the July 2019? She showed nothing of this money that she ended up had. I used a online service called DocuSearch.com, and they gone through and they found that she had a bank at Wells Fargo. We all knew about that. Golden One. That's the ones that the two that she did. But she still had a bank account at Yolo Federal Credit Union, but she opted out a deal so a third party can't see the contents of how much is in it. Okay, so you have to subpoena those records. Okay, well, I'm already been cleaned out to the cleaners, so I don't have money to be able, and I don't know how to do it myself. And the other one was U.S. Bank, and in U.S. Bank, she had about $2,000 in her checking account, and then she had $167,000 in her savings account. Okay, so she's kept this money in it hidden. Well, maybe that's the money that she got from her uncle, to buy her modular home. But later on, if you look back in December of 2017, she was getting checks at $28,000, $25,000, $25,000, $25,000, $25,000, all the time from her uncle, because he has an advanced inheritance, or she does. His nieces and nephews, he thought it would be nice. They sold off half the ranch in Montana, and with the $200 million that they got, they set up these accounts for their nieces and nephews, which I think is fantastic. But it's not being fair when you're lying in court and you have this kind of resources, and you're saying that, oh, I don't have any money. I haven't got any income. And throughout this entire divorce, it shows that she has zero income. Zero. Okay? But she's paying for these.
Sounds like some kind of federal fraud going on.
Well, what
For sure,
really
state
gets me
fraud.
is what I don't understand. All right, Advocate, is that um, she supposed to once she bumped me off of assistance. Okay, when they took my kids unlawfully, which we'll get to, they she jumped on assistance. So now that she's on assistance and stuff, she's end up getting welfare money. How can you have welfare money when you end up have a 401k with $70,000 in it? When you end up just bought in 2019 a $135,000 modular home, brand spanking new. You know, they
But those type of assets are not supposed to be on any kind of government
you
assistance.
wouldn't think, right? And on food stamps and stuff like that. So that is fraud. Now, here's the thing. I've asked people. I've asked, you know, isn't that fraud? Well, she signed the paperwork, you know, saying that no, she doesn't have this or that and stuff. So yeah, that would be fraud. Okay, well, who do I talk to? And I talked to my worker, and it seemed like it dropped just then. It just basically, well, can you live with yourself if you turned your ex in, the mother of your children? And I go, well, I'm not the one that's lying. Okay, so why, you know, and so it was just suppressed. And when I asked about, well, are they looking into it? Well, that's confidential information. We're not going to give it to you. So it seemed like the county was after me in that sense. I couldn't understand that.
I do that to a lot of people, though. We're having a lot of issues after COVID. Even before COVID, government employees, horrible service. People are not getting service.
Yeah, yeah.
For a lot of things.
Yeah. So, you know, life was in a good when I had 50-50. Okay, it wasn't ideal. It did seem like, as you probably heard from Nicholas and stuff, seemed like it was a long time for them to come back. But you know, on December 2020, it was around that time that we decided that, you know, let's stop the fighting. Let's stop this. Let's. I will withdraw my pursuit for my support from the county. You know, my giving them all this information and stuff, and she'll back off. Now, see, here's the thing. It was coming to a close, my restraining order. They were going to do another 5-year restraining order, and based off of the same bogus thing that happened before, all these false claims and things like that. So we agreed that, okay, for the benefit, especially Nicholas had some surgery, minor surgery and stuff that way, and we thought, you know what, we could be there together and we could do this and stuff. And so she decided, okay, she was going to back off. So we both signed a thing. Basically, we're going to dismiss without prejudice and stuff, both things. All right, and then I find out the trust that she had, which was the Royer Jill M. Family Trust. She closed that and transferred it into Jill McCall Royer Family Trust. So what she wanted to try to do is she wanted to hide it and say that it was in someplace else. Now she took that trailer, modular home, manufactured home, and transferred it in February 3rd of 2021. Okay, once she got that, she felt protected and that she got her money switched on over. She still used the same social security number. Okay, so no matter what name it is, if you run one of these in a online searchassets.com or whatever and stuff, it'll come back and tell you, we found Capital One, U.S. Bank, all these banks that she has, and it showed the Jill McCall Royer Family Trust. Okay, so but she thought it was protected. And since she thought it was protected, she got this new lawyer, because I don't think Sarah wanted to attempt losing her license because of some of the things that she did. One of the things that the last thing she did was falsify a document to the court clerk indicating that the boys, we agreed that the boys could call me up to 3 times on the off weeks, okay, over to my house. Well, she stated it was at the discretion of the custodian parent. which means the boys never got to call me. Never. Okay? And because there was still a restraining order after that, 2.5 years, I can't call over there.
Right.
So she kept me at bay. So now we started with what we have current, is that on 5/7/2021, my boys came on over on the 8th, and I sent an email on out to Jill. My boys ended up barricading themselves in Mom's bathroom, okay, because they felt that their safety was in a bad risk. And so they locked themselves in there, and I guess the police were called, is what I was told. But Grandma came over, all right, Eileen, and she yelled to the boys, and I wrote this in the email in Our Family Wizard, and I have that, that we have a plan to remove your father's rights, all right, and you'll never see him again. And if you don't listen to us, okay, we're going to put you in foster care. That is verbal abuse. And that's what I wrote in that email to her. Please don't do that. They love their dad. Why would you say something as horrendous as that to these kids? They don't need that. Then shortly on May, that was May 8th, on May 16th, I get the ex parte order delivered to me, and they call me on the phone. And that's when they started this, for the health and safety of the children, because they don't want to wear a mask, and they don't want to do this, and they don't want to do that. Their health and safety is at risk. And they called me a conspiracy theorist and all these different things and stuff. And so I went into the courtroom thinking, okay, well, and Judge Richardson was the one that started this, and I explained to him, I said, there's no health and safety risk. These guys are healthy. In fact, I'm teaching them nutrition. I'm teaching them, better eating habits and staying away from sugars and everything else. And, there's zinc, vitamin D3, C and stuff. We were taking vitamins and things that way. And they have an immune system, okay? And all of a sudden, they wanted to take my rights away at that time, and the judge said, no, we're not going to do that. But then they said, well, they want to do a 3111 evaluation. Well, with that 3111 evaluation, what had occurred was they were going to pick 3 evaluators. And out of those 3, I would pick 1. I thought about that. That's kind of stacking the deck, because you're basically selecting 3 people that you want, in that sense. But they stated, because I didn't have any money, and because the 3111 evaluation is costly. I told them I was on assistance. I don't have any money. Well, she said that she has a relative that can loan her the money to be able to pay for this. Wow. And later it was stated that she has a rich relative that maybe can help her out on that stuff. And so the judge ended up said, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and let you do it, all right. And if we find or deem later on, Mr. Royer, that you end up have some money to kick into the pot and stuff that way, we'll whatever, right? And so we're going to do a 3111. Okay, why? Well, we're going to see why we're going to be brought back into court constantly and everything else. Well, I call 2 of these evaluators. No answer. I mean, I call them multiple times. And then I call in up Stephanie Stilley, is the 3rd one. She can do it right away. Not a problem. Wait a minute. That's really weird. Okay? 2 I can't get a hold of. I've called in 2-3 times and stuff. Weeks have gone by. I've called every day, tried to do it. No answer. Then I get her. All right. I even asked the other side, "Can you do me a favor? Could you give me a 4th one? Because in all honesty, I can't get a hold of 2 of these. And it just doesn't seem fair." They give me a fourth one. Same deal. Can't get a hold of them. So it's like, okay, that's odd. So we get in at Miss Stilly. I tried to end up talk with her and stuff. Because I'm feeling pressured that we have to come to this. We're coming back into court and stuff to back on August 10th, 2021. We're supposed to come back into court and see where we're at with the evaluator and everything else. So we're getting ready to sign the paperwork to try to get this thing taken care of. And the other side pops this on out saying, well, the boys are going to be going back to school here probably on the 26th, 27th of August. And they need to go back in person. Okay, that's what the schools are requiring. And I said, the boys aren't going to wear a mask. They're not going to get tested and they're not going to get vaccinated and stuff. There's too many unknowns when it comes to that. Oh, well, they're going to have to. And even though it's within your rights, Mr. Royer, and stuff that way, they're going to have to. So the court minute order, the order that was stated was, children are allowed to attend Lee Middle School and Woodland High School in person. Allowed, right? So September 7 comes around, I get another ex parte order that's basically got to pull me back into court. They inundate you in paperwork. And basically in that one it says, okay, you know, his misinformed beliefs, and this, which the term misinformed beliefs is kind of confusing in the first place, because it's your beliefs. I don't have to substantiate it to whether it's right or wrong.
Or somebody else believes it or not.
Whatever, it's mine.
Yeah,
it's mine. And it's also the beliefs of my children, all right, my two boys and stuff. You know, I have taught my kids, you know, so much education-wise and stuff. I went through medical assistant school. I realized, you know, after a while, at first I wore the mask, but as of January 21st, I indicated that the mask does nothing except for actually suppress your oxygen level. You're breathing your own exhaust, so you have a carbon dioxide level in it raised on up, and then you have a petri dish on your face. So basically the bacteria that your body is naturally trying to blow out and get out of your system, you're capturing it right there. It does nothing but actually weakens your immune system. So I mean, we've never worn a mask for the flu, never wore a mask for other things in the past. So
yeah, we don't wear a mask for AIDS.
There you go. So, you know, when it comes to this stuff, and you know, but here's the thing I want to make clear. If you feel more comfortable wearing a mask, hey, that's yours. Okay, that's fine. My choice, I don't. Okay, and because it's experimental, only authorized under an emergency use authorization, we have an option to say, hey, look, I can tell you no. Okay. No, we're going to mandate this. And they did this for the schools. And the schools, it was surprising. The schools basically were like dictating that this is the only way and you have to do this. And I'm like, no, you don't do that to my kid. I don't want my kid hurt. Oh, it's not hurting them. Oh, this, that. Well, that's your belief, not mine. Okay? And so when we went back into court, again, September 7th, they did this ex parte order, and without warning, without due process, without any evidence really, other than just, misinformed beliefs and hearsay stuff, and like I'm some sort of Svengali that can brainwash my kids, they came up and they told me, visits shall be supervised. What? What do you mean? Visits shall be supervised. Okay? And so they blocked me from being able to see my kids. And then at the end of that month, it was, I come back, I go to the district attorney's office of child abduction.
Wow. And
I file a complaint with them going, hey, look, I first went to the courthouse and the help desk, and they go, they abducted your kids. The other side's end up saying that I need to have professional supervised, but the minute order doesn't say that. And so they gave me the number for over there, and I talked to some people over there. First person I talked to, I think her name was Diana or something like this. Very nice lady. She understood and everything else. And then I got this other lady, And she says, well, there's nothing I can really do. I see that you just need to wait till your next court date to go back on in there and tell the judge that. And so, okay, you know, a month, almost a month and a half goes by, and I'm like, oh my God, I want to see my kids. I want to see my kids. This is the longest I've ever been away from my kids. And then I go back on in, and they say, well, you go ahead and create a list, because I said there was no professional or non-professional. He says, well, write a list on out. Go make a list on out. Oh, who you deemed honorable enough to be able to do this. I go, okay. You know, and I did. I had a couple of pastors. I had, you know, a Sunday school teacher and things like that have passed background checks and things like that. And I come back on in, and they said, well, with Dan's affiliation within the churches, I don't think we can trust anybody from the church. You clearly just discriminated against the churches. Is that what you're saying? You can't trust them because they're part of a church? It was quite apparent that my belief structure was being attacked. Okay? I thought, you know, 14th Amendment and the First Amendment especially. See, the problem that I also had too is when it was my turn to talk, as you can tell I can talk, there was, you know, the judge would let me get 3-4 words on out, and then he said, oh, wait a minute, you know, we're running behind, I'm going to have to just sum this on out, and we're going to have to do this. And it was done that a lot. And so by November, the beginning part of November, the order changed with no other additional information, okay, from September 7th to about January 10th. It switched from visits shall be supervised to professional supervision, okay? And here I am on assistance, okay? Well, here's the other thing. I spoke within Stephanie Stilley, and the first conversation that we had on it, we were just introducing to each other. Okay, yeah, that's fine, that's good. Less than 20 minutes. The second time we had, she literally ended up said right off the get-go, you know, we're here to talk about your relationship with Jill and things that happened in the past and try to figure things on out. But I was told by Jill that those boys need to end up wearing a mask to go to school. Mr. Royer, you need to tell those boys to wear a mask, go to school, get tested. Okay?
Was it law to get tested?
No, absolutely not. Well, you got to figure it.
Is it law to put the mask on?
Well,
because they're saying yes and then they're saying no. And
they're saying so much in a pressure. They put so much on pressure on people saying, "Well, I'm going to deny services for you. If you do not put on a mask, I'm not going to ring you on up in some of these places."
Right.
And so what occurred was. It still, if you looked at the mask, it was under emergency use authorization only. So what had occurred is she's sitting there forcing. I said, look, I can't tell my boys to do something that I know is going to hurt them. Oh, it's not going to hurt them. People do it all the time. The mask was never designed to wear for 8 hours, especially in those schools. That's child abuse. I'm sorry, that's child abuse.
It is.
Okay? And so when that occurred, I said, no. And she says, well, if you don't tell those boys to put on a mask, okay, I'm going to delay the process of your report. Well, this time they had already taken my kids from me, and they were going to wait on the report from the evaluator. And I said, well, if you don't finish this report, if you don't move forward with that, I'm not going to be able to see my kids. Well, you just need to call and tell them to put on a mask. So, isn't that coercing? Isn't that threatening? Isn't it all those things that she wrote and stated on her in a contract that she wrote to me that she's not going to belittle me, she's not going to cut me on down, she's not going to interrupt me and stuff, and she did every bit of it. here's the catch, Innup Advocate. What I did is I ended up had a patient's right advocate, Title 7, I think she is. Her name's Jackie Shepard. She was in up witnessing the whole interview that I had with her. When I brought it to the attention to the court, oh my God, we had to shut this down. I don't think that's in it right that she was in up there in the room and stuff. She didn't know it was in the room. But guess what? She's in it like an officer of the court. She could, give her testimony. She could give her declaration, and the judge wouldn't take it. No, oh, no, no, no. So here if it wasn't for her, they would have just called me a liar because, and that's what they kind of told me. Oh, we know Stephanie Stilley for quite some time. She's an honorable person when it comes to that. I want people to look it up on Yelp. On Yelp, you look up Stephanie, I believe her middle name is H. Stilley, Stilley. Look up on your Yelp and you will see reviews. All of them are like one star because you have to give them 1 star, not 0. And some of the things were exactly where she could be bought off, she could do this, do that. I mean, I'm surprised that she's even still practicing anymore.
Well, we have to continue exposing them.
No, absolutely. What you need to do when it comes to it, and I'm in the process of doing that, the Board of Behavioral Science is the ones that issue the license. Okay? The only way that you can do is you can file a complaint against her license to see how far it'll fly. Okay?
Yeah, we can catch her unethically. Then,
oh my God!
That's where we.
So
aim the camera.
The midterm filing, when she did decide that she was going to come on back, because I had an attorney, a friend of mine, basically paid for this attorney, came up with $25,000, which I appreciate him so much, okay, because they tried to go after me for contempt of court, because they thought I had unsupervised visitation without supervision, and here's the thing. No worse in it feeling is you this desire that you want to end up see or hug your kid, and here's the thing that they did to tease me. They did Zoom to be able to talk to the kids, and well, if you tell the kids to do this and you tell the kids to do that and stuff that way, then we'll get them back into school and we'll do that. They just did coercing to the point where, and I asked them, and they even told on the screen, we don't do that. We don't do that. We know it hurts. And it's not good for us. And so we're not going to. Why can't we do distant learning? Okay? Now, after all that was said and done, the kids have ran away. By that time, we're talking December, okay? We're talking, I missed them for Halloween, I missed them for Thanksgiving, I missed them for Christmas.
All the most important days of their life.
Yeah. And the thing is the boys, I guess they got they got just mad and upset, which I could understand. You've kept their dad that loves them dearly away from him. And why? He hasn't done anything to him. And so here it is, I get a meeting with him at Miss Stilley or whatever at the beginning part of November, and she says, well, what we can do is we can have your boys come on in to my office, and you guys, I said, well, you realize, Miss Stilley, me and my boys don't wear masks and stuff. She says, oh no, I can sit in this desk 20 feet away and stuff, and it'll be fine and stuff. That way I can hug my boys, I can be a part of it. And 2 days before our date that we're supposed to go in there, she goes, oh, I just talked to my doctor, and he said that, because of my autoimmune system deficiency or whatever, I don't know exactly what she said, due to HIPAA laws, I don't want to disclose, but she said that she couldn't allow that. So the best she could do is a Zoom session. So it's the taunting of the carrot this is one thing that my boys have learned when it comes to trying to think of the term, conditional promising. Okay, if you do this, we'll give you that. If you do this, we'll give you that. So what happens is once you do that, okay, good that you did that. Now you have to do this too, okay? This also. So my boys, with living with mom and things like that, they know that term, that when that happens,
they're starting to figure things out for themselves.
They're figuring it on out. And so I, even though I'm not there physically with them and I'm not being able to talk to them, they're feeling it, and they know when this is going on, wait a minute, you're not going to let me see my dad. Why? And they totally shut down, which is understandable. On Christmas, okay, on Christmas Day, I finally get a phone call, a Zoom thing on this, and I'm like, what's this? Well, she decides, because she goes all out for Christmas. She tries to buy them, all right? She buys tons of gifts and everything else like this and stuff. So I guess what I heard from Nicholas later on was that he just said, I don't want anything for Christmas. I just want my dad. I just want to be able to hold my dad, hug my dad, okay? And these people didn't care, you know?
They're heartless.
It was pretty heartless.
They care about money.
All they care about is, well, you do as I tell you, and I'm going to coerce you to the point where to do some harm to yourself, and if you don't, then I'm going to pull everything away.
That's
so
child abuse 101 right there.
Wouldn't that would be the definition, wouldn't it? So what happened is they called me on Christmas Day, and I got to talk with them for about an hour, and you can tell that I saw Nicholas and Marcus in the screen and stuff, and every now and then you could see Nicholas was staring right at Mom, because Mom's right there watching that every move, every word and everything else. And I said, are you okay? And he goes, I'm all right, you know. And he, you know, I miss you, Dad, I love you, and everything else. But they were just being threatened, you know, the whole time. They ran away. The third time, that 2 times they went down Interstate 505. Oh my God. Gave the dad almost a heart attack. I mean, you know, I get a phone call from a sheriff indicating that, oh, here they're walking down the side of a highway. And the second time they did this, they refused to get in the car. They said, no, we're going to see Dad. Don't they realize it's like 26, 27 miles? They didn't care. They loved their dad, and they were fit to be tied, okay? Then, that was 2 times, okay? Then all of a sudden, they go the back route. There's only 2 ways really to get out of Dunnigan to get to Esparto. And so I guess they scurried on down the back way, Road 6 or something like this, and kind of got there. And I get a phone call. This is when I had my second attorney. My friend came up with another $10,000 to go get this attorney. And they did kind of help me to some degree for a while. Then it was quite apparent that they were in it for themselves. So, but what had occurred was I get a phone call. It's 4:30, almost 5 o'clock, and the boys have been gone for 2.5 hours. And it's Jill. She says, did somebody drop the boys off at your house? I go, no. Well, what are you talking about? I don't even get to see the boys and stuff. Well, she says they ran away again. Okay. She says that she drove all the way down 505, all the way to my house to feel the engine of my hood of my vehicle to see whether I drove on out there. And she realized it hadn't moved. Okay. And so she asked, did you have somebody drop the kids off at your house? I go, no, I didn't. I said, did you notify the police? Oh, no, not yet. Well, how long have they been gone? 2.5 hours. Now, here's
That's failure to protect.
Well, here's the thing, okay? I'm gonna give her this much. Maybe she was in shock, but I thought she was more upset, more desire of catching me with the boys than the actual safety of the boys, right? Okay, I mean, why can't you end up call the police and drive, to do that? No, she didn't. So what happened was, is I went on out, and after I heard that she drove all the way down 505, the only other way is the back route. So here I am flying, because these are my boys, and I'm going to find them. And the connection that you have with your boys, with any of your kids, mine are really great. I can sense when they're sad. I can sense when they're hurt, and I went on out there, and these guys, they had walked over 5 miles in the back way, and I mean it's hot. It was hot. It was January. No, it was February. I think it was like February 8th. It was right before court. It was like 2 days before court, and they basically, to me, even my attorney said it's a cry for help. Nobody was listening to them. They were doing these things behind the scenes. You had this judge, this evaluator, this attorney of hers, just attack.
What's the name of this judge you've had this whole time?
This judge I end up have is Judge Paul Richardson. He's about 74, I think now. Yeah.
And this is the judge that won't let the kids talk.
He won't let. He said, well, he doesn't say it that way, and you have to watch how he does that. I filed back in like September a motion, August, to allow the kids to speak and stuff like that. Oh no, we're not going to do that just now. Okay, I don't think we're ready for that. Okay, the last time we went to court was just a few days ago and stuff. He said the exact same thing. I don't think we're ready for it. My attorney back in January basically filed a in-camera interview request of the boys, and he said, well, I don't think we're quite there yet. Well, when do you have to be there? It's been over a year, when it comes to these kids either running away or keeping them from their dad. Now, how do you get somebody to look into your case? Because if you look into my case, I know I'm getting off track, but if you look into my case, there's no FL 341 or 341A. There's nothing indication of why did you take this parent's rights away. When those two forms that you have, the 341 and 340A, it'll tell you supervised, professionally supervised. Okay, was it for what reason? Child abuse, sexual abuse, drugs.
Yeah, they don't need one. They just do whatever they want.
They just did it. So without evidence, without due process, they took it. They took my kids. And now, what they did is after that third time that they ran away, they said, well, maybe we need to back off. Now, I have a bunch of people that have been watching this case almost from day one, okay? Which I appreciate my friends greatly, okay? And yet, that particular time, they decided to go in back, pull us into a separate room so nobody else can see this stuff. And he said, well, we're just going to have to back off and give them a little bit of space. So what they did is Thursday at 5 o'clock to Sunday at 5 o'clock every other week. I was 50-50 at one time or another. Okay? And so now they give me 3 days out of 14. Okay? And no steps or no way of coming back to 50-50. They're not going to give it to me. All they want to do is they want to coerce me and pressure me to make the boys comply. And when I sit there and tell them, okay, you guys need to go back in person because homeschooling over at mom's is not working. I don't think it's because homeschooling doesn't work for them. I don't think homeschooling works for mom. And what she has done is I've heard, hearsay, but I'll say it anyway, where she doesn't turn in all the work. She doesn't print out all the stuff that she's supposed to print out for the boys to complete. So what it occurs, or the boys, I mean, you could probably have talked to them, and maybe they said that, Mom, oh, I don't want to help you right now, I'm busy, and basically blows them off. So she's sabotaging them. And then I think you ended up talking to Marcus about a high school diploma, okay? Well, she says, oh, he's not going to do a high school diploma. When he's 18, he wants to just get out of school and stuff. With an IEP, which Marcus has, okay, he's on the spectrum, he's high functioning. I mean, he really is smart. Yes, he has the delayed speech and language, all right, an audio processing delay, which is common. It's kind of like, I don't know if you notice with speaking with him and stuff, he has to kind of hear it, and it takes him a while sometimes for it to go through there. You can see the gears in it working with him. I mean, I love him. He's just an amazing kid. Both of my kids are. So when it comes to that, he wants to get a high school diploma, but she's ended up saying, no, you know, certificate of completion. And even the charter school that she finally put him in, because they wouldn't go in person and she had to get him in school, okay, they said, you know, in all my years, I think I've only done 2 certificate of completions, because nobody wants to do that to the kid. That's basically, you're just going to babysit the kid and you're not going to be responsible with teaching these kids. I mean,
it should be considered abuse.
Wouldn't that be considered, you know? And then when you sit there and you try to explain
neglecting anything, whether it's medical, education, contact with the loving father.
Yeah, yeah. So wouldn't you, you know, here's the facade that I get tired of hearing in family court. For the best interest of the children. This is what we're going to do for the best interest of the children. The education is the best interest of the children. Okay, not the fact that they have a loving father that wants to be there for them and help them and be part of their life and to be able to structure their life, to be able to sit there and encourage them and end up support whatever their desires are. All right?
So the judge has coined that term, best interest of the child, for specifically the best interest of the judge and not the child.
Oh my God, that sums it up perfect. Here's the thing, the best interest of the children, but yet you're sitting there going, oh, the education. I'm sorry, the best, you take a father out, you take his rights away, and then you as the court are now going to deem yourself as a parent.
Sounds like a complete social experiment.
Cool.
You take the father out, and you see what happens to the kids.
Sidebar. Here's the thing. I've seen this done in court. I don't know if you have, but what they do is they take the father figure out of the family, one way or another. Yes, you know, we're separated. You know, what we should end up do is not co-parent, because we obviously don't see eye to eye and stuff, but parallel parenting. Okay, she can have her beliefs and stuff and mine. So that's what I try to do. But if you take a father that is teaching his kids independent thinking, to do this and do that and stuff, it appears to me that the court really detests that.
So they don't want kids to be critical thinkers.
Yeah. And if you also look at the school, the public schools, that's kind of the same thing. Because the public schools end up saying, well, they have to do this and they have to do that. They just need to do this and they need to do that without question. I'm sorry. My mom's always says, if you got questions, there's no wrong answer to that. I mean, no wrong thing to ask those. And if they're sitting there blocking that, then they're obviously they don't want you to think. I always think of this thing of, we don't need no education. They're walking into a meat grinder. You know, if all these kids are told by authority to jump off a bridge, okay, they just got to do it without question. Wait a minute, if it's going to hurt me, I'm not going to do it. Oh, we don't like that.
And that's why they don't want critical thinkers.
Exactly. So, Now what I'm facing is I get constantly threats, in a sense, where, I'm going to take you back into court. Now, after this last time, just recently, my boys, I think you spoke with them or whatever out at the location and stuff, that they ran away. And they actually were just kind of sitting in a fast food restaurant, okay, up there in Dunnigan, less than 2 miles, I think, away from the mother's house. But unfortunately, there was 5, 6 sheriffs looking for them. They had the helicopters out. They had planes out.
Overkill.
Well, I don't know if it was overkill. I understand.
Well, nobody got murdered, right?
Well, yeah, but here's my end of scare. All right, is I look at this, they're right next to an interstate, okay, and if they were abducted,
it would have been over.
It was said and done. And I know they cover each other's back, and they're pretty good size.
But they're still children.
But they're still children, and so when I got called, okay, it was around 5 o'clock, okay, and here's what's the funny thing, Advocate. I sat there and asked, hey, what can I do, and they said, well, just stay put. We're gonna have a couple officers come by, all right, if you don't mind. Is your kids there with you? If they are, you're in no trouble. No, not with me. And well, Mom kind of mentioned that they're probably, or that do you have any idea where they're at? No, I don't. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, so they continued. Okay, and so I said, well, can't I go look for him? No, just stay put. Like I said, until with these officers come by. So I'm twitching. I mean, I'm like, oh my God, my kids, come on, get this over with. Get this, officers come on out and stuff, so that way maybe I can go out there and look for them. 2 officers ended up showing up. And it's the same officer I talked to the Friday. I talked with Mrs. Royer on Friday on the phone, and she didn't like how the phone conversation was going with me and the boys. The boys yelled in the background that Mom won't allow me to call you. And I'm like, why aren't you going to let them call me? Oh, you calling me to start trouble, blah, 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 blah. And she hung up on me.
Well, the more she treats the kids like this, when the kids get old enough, she's going to understand that she alienated the kids based on the way she treated them.
Well, and you know what's
and they're
weird?
they're not going to want nothing to do with their mother.
And that's
sad.
It is sad. It's sad.
Because kids need a mom and dad, but now you have to take both roles.
Yeah.
With pride.
I don't know about pride. I mean, I try to humble myself. I'm not
You're
perfect.
forced to take the position.
I'm forced to take the position, but here's the thing. God can change a person. Can change a heart, can change his stuff. And what I've always instilled into my boys and stuff, which just recently on the 8th of May, they were baptized. And they made Dad the most proudest guy that you would ever imagine. But getting back to with the cops, they came to my door. All right. That Friday, I spoke with one of them on the phone, and the other officer was the one that basically found the kids on the second runaway, and then also was there around for the third runaway.
So you're telling me the cops know that they have to run away from moms because of specific reasons?
Yeah.
And they're not really investigating, let alone doing anything to protect the kids from having it happen again.
Well, the disclaimer, okay, and this is what I was expressed to, okay, is that they're just end up following the rules that the judge gave them, and that's all they can do.
Wow.
So I'm like you on a choke
So
chain.
the judge is now the cop and the social worker and everything else, you know?
I guess. Here's what I end up getting is that I don't quite understand. I said, well, what do you do as a law enforcement officer, a sheriff and stuff? Can't you use your critical thinking to figure out if you come on a scene and you see this? And what he did is on that Friday, I did a welfare check. I called. I said, look, I just want to make sure. She was pretty irate. She was pretty on the phone, and I'm hearing my kids screaming in the background saying that, hey, she won't allow me to call you, Dad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And so I get an officer out there and I call him on the phone, and he's talking, well, is there a family court case? Is there this or that? I go, well, yeah, but I'm not here to have you fix my family court case. I just want you to go talk to my boys, check on them, and pull them aside and talk to them privately, because they need that, and they can't say it in front of her, because what happens is the cops then leave, and then they have to deal with her, and they've been dealing with that all the time. Like the cops don't believe them.
So, what do you want to see happen ultimately, and what steps do you think we need to take to get there?
Well, here's what I think, Advocate. I think that the kids need to be safe, okay? And Mom has had this control, or what she's attempting to do always, against me from several years of marriage and divorce. Control that she feels that she can do that, and she's trying to do the same thing with the boys. If the boys want to end up spend that time with me, allow them, and then we need to. If the court
if
really
we can't get the mom to do that,
well,
what other steps do you see? What options do you want to take now that you hadn't took in the past?
Well, here's the problem.
Maybe you'd like the protest. I don't know.
I think, in all honesty, I'm not the only one. Okay, I'm not the only dad. I'm not the only mom, or somebody that has a very upset ex that's taking it out on the kids and stuff. I think what's necessary is that we do need to maybe protest. Here's the thing: when we did find the kids and stuff. CPS was supposed to be called. That's the same thing that they said the third time that they were going to call CPS. CPS has been called several different times. In Yolo County, I guess it's actually Child Welfare Services.
And they haven't obviously done anything, right, to protect the kids.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I've heard that there's been some reports put in, and they don't even assign somebody to the case.
Maybe we need to protest over there.
Do you know what they end up do? They basically end up saying that mental and emotional abuse, verbal abuse, you can push a kid around a little bit and stuff like that. It's not child abuse. It's just poor parenting. That's what they told me. And these poor kids have literally gone through so much, where she's now stepping it on up. I know within Marcus, what she did was she was trying to get him off the couch, and Marcus, because he's on the spectrum, he had a problem being constipated, and so his intestines were pretty inflamed and hurtful and very sensitive. Well, she takes that opportunity to take that spot and kicks him in his stomach to push him off the couch.
And this was recently?
This was like last month, yeah. And he told her, stop, and
he has disabilities, so it's one thing to hit a child who's regular, and another to hit a child who needs a little extra help.
Marcus is very unique. He's a very special. He's
a special child. He deserves.
But he has the heart of gold. I mean, literally, he's scared of a spider, but he saved one from a swimming pool once. He cares. He's very loving in nature and stuff. He's just, and to sit there and hurt somebody that's like this, who couldn't really hurt a fly, I'm sure he was very emotionally upset about it.
Well, they said they wanted to protest.
Did they?
That's how upset they were, because nobody's listening to them. The judge won't listen to them.
Well, I'll be right out there with them. You know why? Because their voice does need to be heard. And not just for them, but also for other kids that way. It seems, for whatever strange reason, our family court system especially is broken. I've spoke with so many attorneys.
And they're destroying families.
And yeah, what they'll do is they'll take the kids unjustly, and they'll, oh, well, we're going to do this, and then we're going to set the bar here for the parents, and then, oh, no, I'm sorry, that bar's up here. Oh, wait, I'm confused. I'm going to set it up even farther. So it's like this, conditional promising. Okay, it's the same thing. The court system's doing that to end up families, doing that to end up parents. I mean, parents, there could be some parents. I mean, I'm not a perfect parent. I'll be the first one to tell you. But I'm going to strive to be as the best in a father I could end up be. And if you do make a mistake, okay, and you need to end up get yourself put back on track, okay, you set these goals, you know, for that person. Okay, well, you showed to me that you could do this, I can do that. And yet they set those bars and then they move the bars.
So if there's something, you can sum up everything, and if you could have a moment to tell your wife how you feel, what would you tell her?
Well, you just need to let go of the anger, okay? Anger doesn't accomplish anything. And what is your end game? To be honest, what is your end game? Do you actually end up you made a comment in court that I am baffled at, that you are willing to, you know, give the kids to the state than to give them to a loving dad. You're how can you tell me how can you tell me that's love? So many times I get text messages, she's saying, well, it's not love, you know, what you're doing to the kids and how you're doing this and doing that. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. I mean, I'm teaching my kids respect, but when does that accountability come back to her? When does that
It seems like she feels incentivized to throw away the moral compass based off the judge.
Well, if she feels that the judge is back in her play, and you got her attorney back in her play. I mean, I've heard some of these, you know, really awful and hateful allegations.
How do you feel about the judge not speaking with the boys?
He's just playing a game that's very hurtful, and all it's doing.
Doesn't that drive you nuts though, to know that a judge could talk to him and fix everything, and they just won't do the right thing, like as if it's impossible to help a child?
The whole system is child abuse. I'm sorry, but if he really wanted to fix this, okay, I look at the family court system. It's passed it on another day. Let's end up see how much money we can get from them. Let's end up see, you know, let's get the lawyers end up making money, and so the lawyers then put in up money to the bar, and the bar basically pays the judges. So there's a conflict of interest when it comes to some of this stuff. Okay, there's money changing hands, I'm sure, behind the scenes. What I'm getting at is, if you really want to, why don't you? I mean, obviously, with my ex, it's counseling, some sort of counseling. Do something to be able to.
Problem is, you can't force them.
You can't force anybody, but you know, hate is it's quite apparent over a year now. The hate, she just can't move on.
So she has a lot of hate in her heart towards you.
Yeah.
What makes you think? Where did that come from? Was it the divorce?
I think it's presumption of what a marriage is based on. When I said I do, it was more of a control thing. She felt that she owned this person, owned me. And when she couldn't control me, oh, I want a divorce. So many times she told me, even believe it or not, on the honeymoon, she ended up said, oh, I didn't realize I married a cheapskate. I want a divorce and stuff that way. And then her mom ended up stepping in and saying, yeah, Jill, you don't, that's not fair doing that and stuff. So it was.
Well, yeah, if you're just going to marry someone for money, I mean.
Well, I don't think it was just for money. I think she wanted a family. And the thing is their biological clock was ticking and everything else, and so she just decided, okay, I'm going to use this person, and use to get kids out of him. And then once that occurred, and there was kids, she then decided that, okay, well, I'm going to take the kids. It's my house. It's my kids, and I'm going to kick you to the curb. And I go, it's my house too, and so she used the court system to lie about the house, sold it for $262,000. She brought in people to falsify stuff. I actually did the home appraiser. I took her to the bar, the board of home appraisers, and they found her guilty of fraud, and basically fined her in I think $1,000 or $2,000 or something like this, and suspended her license until she did some things. So I got proof that there was fraud done when it comes to it. But they said the house was worth 180, put it on the market for 285, and did a conventional loan, not a cash sale. Have to be a cash sale. So she committed fraud to the court, so she could then sell the house for $262,000, making $82,000 she didn't have to split. So it's just one thing after another, and she just is so hateful. She can't move on, and somebody needs to try to help her, because in all honesty, at the end of the day, the boys are basically going to, they don't want anything to do with that kind of hate. Nobody wants to be around hate. And
she's at the age where it's sad to say it, I don't believe she's going to change.
Okay.
It's possible, though.
It's possible.
It's
like
possible.
I said, I have seen God.
Right.
I'll go with the movie I Can Only Imagine, where the father was just a notorious, terrible person, and kicking his son and doing all kinds of stuff. And then he found out he had cancer, and then he realized the mistake that he did afterwards, and how they were building a Jeep together and things like that. Well, he realized that God, basically, his son was able to see that God changed his heart. I keep on telling my boys to keep on praying for Mom, okay? Because God can do it.
God's the only one that could break her.
Exactly. And so...
and sometimes people, it's hard to break them because they like to be down there real low. Doing deviant behavior.
I just end up see as being misguided. I feel for her. I really do. I think she's following the wrong master. I said.
Yeah. Child abuse don't come from God.
No. When you have hate and you have jealousy and you have all these things and stuff, you got to end up be able to identify what's of God and what's not, and where that source is coming from. So, I just let me help the kids. That's all I want to do right now. I want to be able to help them. Their childhood has been stolen from them. You got to figure 6-7 years. The last portion of our marriage, it wasn't good. There was a lot of upset times and stuff that way. People in my face, screaming and hollering. It just wasn't good. And so that's the reason why I didn't want to show to the boys this was the norm. That's not how people are supposed to treat each other. And so I've been with my boys, 50-50 there for a while, and they gravitate to the positive. And so that's why they love me, and I love them.
Well, yeah, a lot of fathers aren't even in the lives of their kids, and to see a father like you, it's a good thing. More people need to see it.
I agree.
And I just wanted to thank you, too, for speaking up for your boys, because, that's what we need. Adults are the best advocates for children.
Yeah. In this particular case, I know that there's other children out there that are getting a bum deal.
And if you give them a voice, it's going to help other kids, too.
And I think when they get older, they're going to end up be out there helping people, too. They're good kids. and they're worth the value.
Once people understand, especially children, once they find out the secret that love is better than anything,
Yeah.
especially money.
Yeah.
Because you can't take that love away, and you can't spend it either. It's always there.
Love
And
is
you always
the-
feel it.
What I've told my boys, and I fully believe it, love is the only thing you can take to heaven. That's it. Okay?
And without it, you ain't getting up there either.
Well,
Can't have hate in your heart.
can't have hate in your heart. It's just the grace of inner God that we're saved.
And you have to learn to love your enemies too sometimes, because we can't hate them.
No, and like I said, I don't hate anybody, and I just I want to make sure that my boys don't harbor anything. I know they're going through a lot, I really do, but we've got to handle it with grace, and hopefully, maybe one day they could forgive the situation and be able to step back out of the situation and be able to appreciate her
And move on.
and move on.
Heal.
Yeah.
And then yeah, like you said, help others, because that's really where they're gonna get their therapy at. To know they can help other people the same way nobody helped them when they were a child.
Well, it's just like an addict or anything else and stuff. If you've been there and you know the situation and you know the feelings that you've had and everything that goes on, that, oh my God, I know where you're at.
These kids are becoming experts. And
Way
God's
beyond
creating them,
Yeah, way beyond their years. I mean, like I said, their childhood has been taken away. I just bought some adult training wheels for bicycles because they've never rode a bike. They never learned how. Okay?
Wow.
My youngest kid, basically, he picked up a coin and he goes, "What is this?" And I said, "It's a nickel." Okay. Because mom basically takes his money, takes everything, and stuff.
And
So
if she's doing his homework for him,
and doing his homework, yeah. So they don't understand,
just
they don't
normal
understand
social
value.
things,
Social things, yeah.
little things.
But they're active at my church. We do a food giveaway on Sundays, and I get those boys on out there, and they feel good about it because they're helping. They're hauling the boxes on off of food, and they're setting them up on the table. They're carrying them on out, and you look at them, they're smiling and they're appreciating because these people are coming for food, and we're able to help them. Isn't that what we're supposed to instill in our kids? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Those values, not in a
To treat others how you would want to be treated.
Absolutely.
All right, you're live.
All right. So, what we need to do, I think, we need the community to come together. These are our children, okay? That we hold in a dear, okay? If we can't come together, then we've lost. So for us, I don't know about you, but my kids mean everything to me, okay? And there are people that are misguided out there, and our court system is misguided. So we need to set the record straight. We need to be able to get out there as a community, as a group of people. I need people out there to sit there and be the voice. Those kids' voices are not being heard. So who needs to get that out there? The adults, the parents. If we don't do this for our kids, we don't have kids.
We won't have any kids.
We won't. Okay? So we need to step on up. Okay? Be there. Okay? I know Advocate has different rallies, different things that's going on, protests and stuff. Pay attention to it. Find out when's the next one. Just be there.
It could save a child.
It could make the difference of a child's life.
That's right.
Okay? We're talking about, how long does a kid have to be tormented? How long do they have to sit there and wish, oh, I really wish I could go to this other parent's in a house because they let me in it be myself. I can be myself. I mean, and all it could take is maybe just, you know, a bunch of people getting together, sharing the stories together. Exposing it. There's a lot of this going on here lately, and we as parents, as adults, as you know, if you love kids, I mean, you've got to fight for them, and that's what's at risk right now.
And so, what county are you at?
I'm in Yolo County.
Okay.
Okay. The courthouse is in Woodland, California. A lot of times we do. I think we end up have some protests there scheduled. I think there's some maybe for child welfare services. I know there's going to be more, and we need to get numbers out there. I mean, come on. Our youth is worth it. I mean,
they're the future.
Yeah, not much of a future if they get shoveled and sent off to state somewhere and get lost in the system. I mean, I really wonder if there's child trafficking that I've heard so horrendously happening through these so-called systems. So we need to stand up. Okay, it's time. It's time. Hope to see you there.
Thank you.
Thank you.